Welcome to the Simply Be Found Huddle with Dean and Rob, where we talk everything business and marketing. Today, let's talk about the recession. I think that's a major concern right now to a lot of our members and just a lot of our listeners, Dean, is the recession is on us. And we created Simply Be Found to be starting at the recession back in 2020, and then it didn't freaking happen.
Well, that
So
really wasn't a recession.
I'm excited that it's here. Is that wrong for me to say?
No, but it really wasn't a recession. It was COVID, and
Well,
everybody,
no. I was looking at doing a switch from my agency when I started looking for the voice search piece. Maybe I've never really talked about this. I was looking for some way to be able to take the agency and get it to flip because I saw the numbers coming from the stock market, coming from everything I track for what makes a recession happen. I was tracking that in 2020 and thought we were going to slip into recession. Then COVID happened, and then we got money into the actual, the government started printing more money, which then took us out of the recession. And here we are 4 years or 5 years later. There's a recession that could possibly hit us.
Right. But, so, I don't want to say we're excited about the recession because nobody ever is excited about that downturn. But you do see a lot of people, competition drops out. If you're in a strong position, and I've been there, I've been through, in my 35 years, I've been through a few of these things, 2008 being one of the worst ones, is, you see competition drops off. So what happens to competition? They're not positioned well. People don't know how to find those businesses. So I think that's a big issue for a lot of small businesses to understand that recession is not necessarily good for cash flow, but it does trim the branches back on the tree a little bit with competition. I don't want to use that analogy, but that's you're pruning your hedge, if you will.
Well, the trees start to get chopped down.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use the whole entire tree analogy, which if you're a tree out inside of the forest, I mean, your competition is getting chopped down because they're not going to be able to make it. I guess I get excited about recessions. I get excited about downturns because I've probably made my most money during downturns than I did during normal everything in the heyday because it made me look at my businesses differently. And maybe it's because I was born during a recession. I mean, I was born in 1983? You had the recession of 1982, if I remember correctly?
No, I think what happened was I think you were dropped on your head as a child.
I think that happened probably more than I ever will ever know. I mean, I got this little bit of a twitch, but
I know.
It's going to be okay. It's all right.
But you do look at your business different. You go, well, how can I tighten my belts? How can I do these things? How can I become more efficient? When you really depend on the public, though, they're doing the same thing. So how do you make the most of it? So let's kind of go. You want to go down that road a little bit? Because I with my business, I have what I call, you watch stock markets and those things like that. My business has been around long enough. I have microeconomic indicators that I've seen trends, and I'm seeing a trend now where we're starting to turn down in some of those areas. Whether we go into it real heavily, we don't know how deep we're going to go into something, but there's always downturns in business.
There always is.
And so the thing is, when that happens, you need to figure out how to control your cash flow, and if you think, and how to come out of this, unscathed, if you will, where some of your competition who don't take the same time to do that, or they start spending excessive amounts of money trying to get more money coming in, instead of trying to figure out some other things. So let's kind of, you want to dive into that a little bit?
Well, let's dive into it because I think you're right. I think there's a lot of businesses that I've seen during the recessions that have happened is they end up getting super, nervous, and then they end up throwing money in the wrong spots that does not get them any results. It doesn't it doesn't build their foundation, and you have to keep throwing money at it to be able to keep it going. And it takes time to warm it up. It takes time you have to fail a little bit. And I see people do this a lot with like pay-per-click, Google ads, Facebook ads, and just hoping for a prayer. If I throw this much money at it and throwing all this shit at the wall, they're hoping they're going to be able to get something back.
Right. No, I agree with that 100%. So how do you keep from throwing the money away? How do we evaluate and determine where to spend your money? I mean, we see a lot of people doing coupons. They like your pay-per-clicks, like you said, and they think they're going to get that. The problem is if you don't keep feeding that beast, you lose that. So that's why we really have taken the organic approach saying you get out there, you do all things organically. That never goes away. I mean, that's a big thing. I think that we really preach a lot on, Rob.
I mean, it's that foundation. It's why it's your root piece inside of the whole aspect of the marketing area. You've got that root base. That's where all of your listings, all your organic, directories. This is your name, your address, your phone number, or NAP, all that stuff down inside of there. Then you have that website, which is your tree trunk. Then you got your branches for your social media, your blog, and things branch off of that. But everything connects together. Even your pay-per-click connects to your organic to be able to get your tree to be able to have the most exposure. So, I mean, when I look at that from an economic standpoint, it's about cutting back and trimming your tree. You don't want your tree chopped down like your competition. You want to trim your tree back. You want to say, okay, I'm going to put this much into this. You might have a little bit of ads going because you're going to do some retarget marketing, which means that someone who's already visited your websites or that is on a list of yours, they might still continue to get that marketing piece. You're going to have that email marketing side or your newsletter, being able to send that out. But your big thing is making sure that root base is going to be able to support you. As those trees get chopped down, you want to make sure you come up to the top. I'm already seeing this in multiple different spots and in multiple different industries where I'm seeing trees drop out. And there's different things that cause it. Like I track a lot of roofing businesses inside of our local area just because I've got some big clients that still use me as a full agency. And it's one of those things. Well, they use us as a full agency, I should say.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it's one of those things to where I see to where we haven't had any hail here in Colorado for a really long time. It's almost 4 years, I think, maybe 5. So those roofers depend on it. Well, nobody planned on anything else. So unless you have other stuff going and you're not getting those leads in, you're going to drop out. So you have things that are like that are happening everywhere. You have these tornadoes that are going through. You have the fires in California. I mean, you have natural disasters mixed in. And those can also chop trees down at the same time, along with economic pieces.
Right. And so, you in that particular industry, we do things in the we're not advertising, but in the marketing world. And I find that a lot of businesses suck in their cash flow in the areas that are most important. Have you seen that? I mean, they're worried about this expense. They're whatever. I don't know what it is. Depends on the industry, whether it's equipment or whatever. But I find that they pull in the wrong places, and then they become in danger of being chopped down. As a business owner, though, I don't want to see my competition chopped down. I see it happens, but the reason why I don't like it is because the more people you have in your industry, the more people are going to be aware of your situation. So, it's kind of one of those things is, it gets rid of the people that aren't taking care of their business well and haven't taken care of their customers well.
It usually cuts out the people who are either fly-by-nights,
right,
or it cuts out the people who are trying to be the cheapest person out there, and they didn't plan for what was about ready to come and hit them.
Right, because we even when times are good, you see those people that undercut everything, and then they don't have enough margins in there for themselves. If things happen, things go wrong, a job doesn't go right, whatever, you cut somebody's hair wrong, and they're like, they leave you a 1-star review about you're an idiot, that kind of thing. Who knows what, but it really comes down to making sure that people are seeing you, that you're out there. But I don't like to see a lot of people throwing all their budget money, because you have to have some other things. Like sometimes, I've even actually expanded my business during recession, which sounds really weird, where I took the time to bring in equipment and learn how to use it and optimize it, because it did get slow. So you're making sure everybody in your business are busy and they're learning new things. And that's a good time to do training as well. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we can talk about that way, because it doesn't last forever. You guys got to make sure you're positioned. And when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you can come out and be the top dog, if you will.
You have to hunker down. You have to watch for the storm. You have to make sure that you have enough to be able to keep the lights on and keep payroll going. And you have to figure out inside a business, what it's going to take to be able to make it survive and to be able to make sure that you are going to come out on the other end. And when you're doing that, you have to go through, you have to look at your budget. You have to look at what you're spending money on, get rid of all the waste, cut it all the way down to the bare minimum that you can, and be able to make sure when it comes to your marketing side, make sure your organic marketing is as strong as it can be. Make sure your story's told. Talk about your stories. Now you have time to work on yourself.
Right.
Now, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who are seeing the economic downturn, but they're super busy. And it's a combination. I've gotten busier during recessions. And I mean, compared to when non at times, I mean, it all depends. And it all depends on what the universe is going to throw at you for that time period too.
Right, I agree. I agree with you 100%. And we're not here to advise you on how to do your own finances, because you're the only one that knows your own books.
Yeah, and we're not lawyers, we're not financial advisors,
Right.
we're not any of that inside of that area. But I think it's a matter of I've been through them. I normally end up starting a business during them or something crazy. That's what I did in 2008 and was oblivious to what was going on around me. I was going through a divorce at the time. I was like, I'll start a business. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
But I mean,
so when the barometer pressure drops, that's when the storm's coming. That's when you get involved.
Apparently, that's when I pop out and go, "Hello, everybody."
Do I have that right? Barometer dropping storms or barometer going up in storms?
I don't remember. I get that confused every time.
Yeah, in my head I just went. But no, but the thing is you need to make sure you're in a good position. You're taking care of your customers that you have. And the other thing too is sometimes you see you have contracts or you have agreements to go into it. Especially our contracting people or our home services people, they're out there some, and then they're not making sure that they have the stuff on the backside. So because those will run out eventually, and then where are you at? So you need to make sure you're working on the things you need to be working on to make sure that, because it does take time to warm up. We call it the warm up process.
Yep.
You start putting
and it takes about 90 days.
Yeah.
And some people get results from the listings engine within the first week, but I'd say to see the full potential, it takes 90 days. And some people are too impatient for that.
Exactly. Well, how do you feel about if somebody says, okay, we're going into recession. I've been wanting to redo my website. You've seen that side of it more than I have because you've worked on websites. Do websites take time to warm up as well?
They can. I mean, traditional SEO, how it used to be, I mean, it would take anywhere between 6 and 8, probably 6 and 12 months to really see good results from SEO organically. We can speed that process up with our system and with where the backlinks are and for how we can advise that. For any website that comes on with us, which that's something we really don't advertise and don't put out there. But if you listen to the huddle, you'll know you can ask us if we have any spots available for websites. But it's one thing. All you do is just come to the chat and just ask. But when we set our sites up, there's special things you can do in the back end. I've got a checklist on that. I'm willing to share that out there. Maybe I'll write a blog about that. But it's one of those things to where you can speed up your process for how you're picked up. So a lot of stuff that happens in the website world, if you're not doing really heavy SEO work on that website, it's no different. It's just a nice website. No one ever comes to it because you have to be able to drive traffic. So the beauty of our listings engine plan and our social media suite is it's able to drive traffic to your website. And that's what makes a website. You can make a beautiful website inside of Wix. You can build your own through GoDaddy or whatever builder you choose to be able to do if you don't have the marketing budget and get the same results, especially if you're adding the listings engine and social media suite to it, because that's what's going to drive over as long as your message is good on that website. And
the key thing is just getting your name out there, making sure your name, address, and phone number is correct on the, you've done YouTube videos talking about how to do it for free. If you have the time and you want to do that, you can. But we've beat this one up a little bit, saying that if you don't do it correctly, then it can still hurt you. So you need to make sure that you get into something that gets the information out to all the networks out there, especially your voice search and your other different algorithms or social media. You have to make sure that all that information is correct out there.
You have to make sure that's all correct. You have to make sure it's all there, ready to rock and roll. That's the problem. So that's why older businesses have such a problem when they come over to do the listings engine, is the piece that there's so much crap that's out there that's wrong. It takes longer sometimes for that seasoned business to go through and get some of that stuff fixed versus a brand new business that is there. And that's really frustrating to a lot of senior business people.
I started coughing now. I need a drink of water. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. But I mean, I think that's a huge point, Dean. Whenever you're inside of a downturn, whenever you're having even a slow spout, no matter what kind of downturn you're having inside of business, you have to be driving traffic, because if you're not driving traffic, you're going to die.
Exactly. And the thing is the longer recession lasts, is there a history on recession lengths, or does it just depend? I mean, there's really not a trend, but usually I see them last for a year, maybe 2 years sometimes.
I think I want to say it's 18 months.
Yeah, that's what, and the only reason I'm asking that is,
one sec.
Okay.
I've got a go-to chart on that.
All right. But what I'm getting at is, make sure you're positioned in such a way that you can survive that, and and tighten your belts and get everything done that you need to do. Because I've seen them last for a long. Geez, I'm just trying to think. What year was it? 98 during the .com crash. Was that kind of recession?
That was 2000.
Was that? That was the Y2K year, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. It was right after Y2K. Everything kind of went to hell.
Right. And then of course we had the 9/11 situation. We've had some disaster, some things happen in this country that's driven us into some of these recessions that lasted for a while for various reasons.
Well, there's a lot that comes into that, and I'm trying to find that document. I have the data team looking for it real quick.
Okay.
Because I've got a whole entire cheat sheet. So, the 2008.
As Rob patiently reads this document to come up with the I'm doing filler noise right now for those that are listening.
Well, no, yeah, it says the average. So my report on this says the average is 10 months.
Okay, so it's about a year. I was thinking close to a year or somewhere in there.
That's tracked by the National Bureau of Economic Research.
Okay, so and the thing is those things that are happening in this country right now. I think we're seeing some things that we haven't experienced for a while. For some, so we don't really know what this one's going to be like when and if we go into this thing deep or not, or whether it's just a downfall.
I think this one's going to be short. So from all the people I track and everybody that I have, from that world, they all think it's going to be relatively fast. I mean, we're going to set tariffs up for each of these countries. They're going to backlash everything that's happening inside of the government. I hate to talk politics, but it's no different than when I was doing mergers and acquisitions and doing company buyouts. I mean, that we're just treating the government like a business. So if you look at it from that aspect, and what I'm hearing from everybody from that world is it's going to be shorter, it's going to be quicker, because other countries depend on the United States at the same time. And by us fixing some of this stuff, it's going to change the dynamics. And I would say this is probably going to be one of the biggest recession pieces, where it just kind of changes the full dynamics and puts more on to us being more self-sustaining, which is going to be a very interesting aspect to the entire piece. And I don't want to go red, I don't want to go blue on that, but that's what I'm seeing from my side, from a business aspect, and that's how I look at a lot of that stuff. So I think it's going to be really quick. So what industries do I think is going to be most affected by it? I think construction for new homes might see a little bit of it. Big expensive remodels probably going to see another piece on it. Retail might see a little bit of a hit, in hospitality, so all your restaurants, because people start eating at home. But what ends up happening during a recession for the construction guy versus the eating out, everybody gets tired of their own cooking. Eventually they're going to go eat out. And everybody who is eating at home, they're spending more time not going out and doing entertainment stuff. It's going to be no different than when I worked my family owned furniture stores. people would have to come in. We'd get a big snowstorm. Well, we were going to get busy after that because now they had to look at all their shit throughout their whole house. They have to look at their house. They have to look at their furniture. They have to look at all. Then they want to go buy new stuff because there's so much to be able to do.
Right. So, and so it's really, you need to look at yourself internally, do the things you think are best. I mean, there's really no right or wrong answer to anything. It's just how do you tighten up the money going out, because the money coming in is going to be reduced. So you just need to make sure you stay ahead of that. I mean,
the biggest thing is drive traffic. Make sure you're doing all the things you need to be doing to be able to keep that traffic going. Because if you let that traffic go, it's one of the worst things you could do. I'm seeing that on agencies right now that have been hit by the whole recession piece, and they're automatically trying to cut everything they possibly can. And they immediately go straight over to let's pay more in ads. Let's pay more in ads. And I just think that's the wrong approach to be able to take on it.
Right. Well, the agencies make money when they get you to buy ads.
Well, they're taking ads out on their own.
Oh, they are. I thought you were talking about their clients. They're recommending their clients to do that.
No.
So this is a whole nother discussion. I don't really want to get into it, but a lot of these agencies are really concerned about if they're in contracts. Now I've got money going out. I'm locked into this because I agreed to maintain this many sites, and they may lose some of those sites because the force is going to get cut down some. So now we're seeing that a little bit in a panic mode for the agency side of it as well.
Well, everybody's looking for that magic bullet. And everybody's looking for that one piece to be able to, make $1 million in 30 seconds with no work. And it comes down to being almost the same exact thing as, a magic pill that you take that just makes the weight come off. You don't have to do anything. I guess now there's those shots that some people are losing weight and not doing anything. And that's going to come back and bite them in the butt. But
you just made a point, and it makes me crazy. Is everybody goes, I can make $1 million, I can make 6 figures in the first month of doing this. If it was that easy, everybody'd be doing it. I mean, it takes work as a business owner. It takes time, it takes commitment, and it takes work to really get yourself. I mean, I'm with you though. There's no magic pill.
There's no magic pill. There's no,
whatever you want to call it.
Well, do you know how many? I talked to someone over the last week that was talking about how they hired this marketing coach and that they weren't too sure if they were going to need us or be able to do anything. And they're like, well, we have this marketing coach. I was like, oh, what's the marketing coach's background? Well, they've been doing digital marketing for 3 months. They did sales for 6 months, and they're one of the leading people. And I'm like, oh.
And I'm not going to take it either way, because some of those people may be savants out there. They're this unicorn, and they really do get it. I'm not going to say they don't, but most people that have been in business, they haven't seen the cycles, the trends that you and I have over the years.
Well, I mean, let's pick on teachers. How many professors have never worked a day inside of the field?
I had a few of them. That were great. And I had because I had some of them that they were all book smart. And they were intelligent people. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it,
right?
But they lagged on where we're at in this world, as on some of the things that are going on. I think that sometimes the marketing coaches are the same way. They're lagging because they've read something or they're fresh out of. I'm not going to say that people coming out of school are not, but they just don't have the experience level yet. Will they get there? Yeah, I'm sure they will. But don't put all your trust in somebody that just because they come from a higher education, if you will, or they just I took a course in website design and now I'm a website designer. You had that same problem there as well. They make some wonderful websites, but they don't understand the SEO value with the schema and all those wonderful things that need to happen. The content writing, the whole process, they lack on some of that. So
I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think there's a lot of things that more than SEO on a website's the data side that they don't get. But you have to go with a marketing coach who has failed. And I've failed multiple different businesses. I watched my parents fail business. I watched my grandparents make bad decisions. And I think that's where your second and third generations are having probably the hardest time out there, is the fact that they haven't had the opportunity. We want to protect them from failing. And you only learn business by failing. I've never met anybody inside a business that did really well for themselves unless they were handed everything, that didn't, go out and fail, because you learn more by, stubbing your toe than you do anything else.
Right? Yeah,
I
it's
think
really
stubbed my toe twice in, a short period of
so.
time.
So when I was did my undergraduate program and I got out and I got to the point where I was hiring people, I basically tried to flunk myself out of school, and I pulled myself from my bootstraps and put myself back through and finished, and then finished a master's degree, if you will. I would never hire anybody that had straight A's that didn't do other things. I mean, because all they did is they stuck their nose in the book, and so so I think that's the same way when you're hiring marketing coaches. Just because they have perfect marks out there, that doesn't necessarily mean they're the best marketing coach. They need to say, yes, I did screw up. I made a mistake. I did this. This is how I fixed that mistake. And then that comes back to the whole concept of reviews too, that things happen. I mean, it's full circle. Everything is full circle and everything's intertwined, no matter how you look
Everything
at
is.
it.
I mean, in the economic side, I think that businesses need to have a good outlook on it. I don't think it's going to be very long, and is my prediction on it. Now, I could be wrong, but I think it's a matter of going through and looking at how you're going to drive traffic and what you're going to do and what your game plan is. I mean, I know you and I sat down and we went through, we looked at everything, looked at our budgets, looked at what we're spending on, cut, weaned out the stuff we didn't need and automized everything to where you and I are looking 3 months out versus looking at next week.
Right,
I think that's
exactly.
a very important piece.
And the thing is, as we looked at these little tiny things that are here and there, and you go, oh, that's only like $10 a month, $100 a month, whatever. You put them all in conglomerate, and you do it over the course of a year. You go, oh my gosh, that's 10% of my budget's going out the window on things I don't use. So that's why it's really important to really take a look at what you're spending money on.
I hate to say it. I mean, with Simply Be Found, it's why I've thought about increasing the prices, because the small stuff will kill you. And right now, we're a small price.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's kind of calling the kettle, not calling the kettle black, but kind of pointing at services like ours, which is one of those things to where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like that. But I mean, you have to look at it and decide if it's something that's actually driving something to you, or if it's something that's not. I've got some software I pay $10 a month for, and I use the hell out of it, and it drives assets, it drives sales. So I mean, it's one of those things to where you have to look and decide, do I need this? And I think there's a lot of fears that are out there for marketing or technology stuff where they don't even know what it is. And if you're using us for a marketing coach, you can ask us. If we know, we'll tell you, well, this is what it's used for, what it is, and what our thoughts are on it. I mean, I'm not going to audit someone's full books if they send them over to me,
Oh,
but
no. Don't even do that. Don't even think about that.
no, I mean, I could do an audit pretty damn quick, but I'm not willing to do that. I'm really expensive for that. I
Exactly.
get paid good money for that shit.
Yeah, you're gonna pay Rob to go over the books or me to go over the books a lot more than what you're gonna save for what we buy.
But I mean, it's one of those things to where if you don't know what something is, if you don't know, if you need that SSL certificate or something like that, definitely reach out to your marketing coach.
Right.
But we're here to be able to help you through the economic downturn if you are experiencing it. Now, every different state, every different community is going to experience it in a different way. And we have members worldwide, so we get to experience a lot of different pieces. But I'm seeing an uptick in how many people are actually coming to us and asking questions. And I see a lot of potential salespeople, on our chat, just that aren't members yet, that have came to us and they're asking questions about the economic downturn. They're asking what's going to happen, what to expect, and how we fit into that. And we have no problem having that conversation with you.
Exactly. But no, but once again, the legal side is going to say, don't. We're not lawyers. We're not financial experts, but we do
We're
understand
not
small
financial
business.
advisors. We're not giving you any advice.
Yeah,
But our advice that we will give you is come sign up for simplybefound.com if you're not a member. And we'd love to be able to take your business and drive some traffic to it. I mean, that is something I legally can say.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And remember, you can listen to this on almost any podcast network and also watch the video of Dean and I on YouTube. My name is Rob Downey. I'm one of the co-founders here at Simply Found. That's
I'm the other guy, Dean. I'm the color guy. So I provide all the commentary, if you will. And so anyway, thanks everybody for joining us.
Have a great day.